pies before we go. Everyone, I'm the Gray Skeptic. Welcome to another episode of Atheist Flashbacks. I'm here with NotJah Witness.
G'day.
NotJah, why don't you introduce yourself real quick? Tell us about your channel and who you are and what you do, and then we'll get going.
Yes, I'm NotJah Witness. I do NotJah Witnessy things where I expose and refute their stupidity. I should also put my phone on silent because it's going, oh, Gray Skeptic's going live.
Holy shit, you should head there now.
Yeah, I know, I might have to go. Apparently Gray Skeptic is live. I really want to catch this one. Yeah, no, I do a bit of that, and I also sort of do the same thing to other idiots and cults and whatnot, you know, just making fun of them in general.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. And if you guys are not subscribed to NotJah Witness, go and subscribe to NotJah Witness. He just
thank you.
1,000 subscribers, but that doesn't mean he has enough yet. So first off,
I did, and that was fantastic.
Yes, congratulations on
Thanks to every one of you that has already subbed to me. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's a really good channel, and you touch on a lot of really good, important topics. So I really appreciate your channel.
I appreciate it.
So we're here for an atheist flashback because last time I had NotJah on my channel was his introduction to the community. So that was quite a while ago, and I was reminded that I actually didn't do an atheist flashback with you yet. So I'm very excited. So yeah, let's get the show on the road. NotJah, you are now my witness.
Okay.
Now my witness. I'm going to call you that for the rest of the stream. Now my witness.
All right. I'll do my best. I think I should. I'm already failing, actually. I have a Santa hat on, and that is unacceptable.
Yeah, you should probably take that off. What's wrong with you?
It's not good. There we go. No icons or idolatry or pagan symbols or anything going on now.
There we go. That's better. That's the now my witness.
All I need actually is anybody secular, somebody that does pictures, that, because I would do it, but I'm kind of busy at the moment. Put a Bible in my hand and make sure it's the New Testament, the one that the Dubs use. I mean, silver sword.
Yeah, my wife could probably do that for you, but she's in bed right now.
Oh yeah, no, that's all right. Don't wake her up for it. But wake secular up. He can wake up and come and do it for me.
right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
No, don't bother. Poor guy. Anyway.
Anyways, so let's start with my usual first question. As a Jehovah's Witness, do you drink?
Well, Jesus did say that a little bit of wine is good for your health. So yeah, we do partake every now and then, as long as it's within moderation.
Okay. Is it just wine?
No. Well, obviously that was the predominant drink. Sorry?
I said, is it just Jesus' blood?
No. That's a bit inappropriate.
I'm sorry.
I see what you mean by that, but no, that's a slightly different affair. But we are, we understand that the wine is sort of the predominant drink of the time. It's sort of represents alcohol in general. So as long as it's within moderation and within your own health, yeah, you can partake a little bit, but you're not to get inebriated or become a drunkard.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not the answer I was expecting. It's cool. That's cool. All right. Well, so as a Jehovah's Witness, in your area of Jehovah's Witnesses, is there anything different about your community than any other of the Jehovah's Witness communities? Because from what I know, the whole community, like worldwide community, has a pretty strict doctrine, and they stay pretty close knit.
That's definitely very accurate. We do all our best to follow the direct word of God, of Jehovah. Obviously, we are all human. We're imperfect. We will find times where we stumble, but we all have that same direct message, that loving guidance from the governing body. And it's so clear and explicit. It's just easy to understand and to feel close to Jehovah. So it's something we all aspire to follow and be like, because it's basically just the words of Jesus.
Okay. Well, like, what exactly are you aspiring to then? Like, are you aspiring just to get to heaven? Are you kind of aspiring to like move up the ranks in the church at all? What's your
Well,
goal?
absolutely, not the heaven part, but within the congregation, we all want to do our best and improve, and there's always opportunities open to further yourself, further your studies or your preaching work. So obviously, I'm still an unbaptized brother, but I do enjoy doing talks, and I love the preaching work, especially on the weekends when I can really get out in the field. But obviously, one day, I really am working towards my ultimate dedication and baptism. And hopefully I wouldn't mind to become a pioneer, which is where I take on more rigorous hours and a more thorough preaching work in the field.
Okay. Now, from what I know, some of that preaching work, I think especially after high school, isn't like a year or something required, or do you not look at it as a requirement, or can you tell me about that at all?
I wouldn't say there's any sort of requirements. It's all your personal decisions and how much you want to put into it. But you're always encouraged to put in the most that you can. So some people will not be able to find the time to do such rigorous, work in the field. So they will sort of not. They will decide that pioneering work might not be for them, and they will stick with just doing, your weekend or afternoon house calls, and they won't be in any way required to make a certain number of hours or anything like that.
Okay. And it was pioneering. Thank you for the word, but something else about the field work that I was wondering is what is what's the right way to word it? What's everything that you can count during your field work or towards your hours? Because I know that you keep track of your hours, and if you could go into why, that'd be awesome. But also, like, are you just supposed to knock on people's doors, or can you go to like your local like mall and like stand somewhere around there and just high five people and try to get them to talk about the Bible with you? Like, what does all this field work entail?
Well, first up, we do obviously keep a bit of a tally on how much work we put in, but that's just so that obviously we can, as an organization, we know how well we're doing, or if we're not doing as well compared to other times, or even in certain areas, and it helps us build our preaching work stronger. What was the second part?
Is Let me think real quick. As the what all can you do for the field work? For like
Oh
towards the
yes, you
hours.
asked about like if you could sort of stand on a street corner or whatever,
Right, or go to the
and give
mall,
people
or
high fives, and yeah.
like make a
Well,
YouTube channel. Like would like making a YouTube channel and talking about Jehovah's Witnesses beliefs work.
um,
Like what all does it entail? What's your limits?
well, we do encourage any official work done, but this does have to be, in a way, you would say sanctioned by the governing body. But it's just there have been many times where people have, with great intent, gone and tried these new avenues of reaching people, and it has led there to be a bad name towards Jehovah and his people, and that is, for us, it's an unacceptable thing. So to ensure that we are all doing right by Jehovah, we ensure that, if we want to do something special like that, we would run it by your elders and make sure it can be done properly. But one thing that we do, as I'm sure you've seen, is we have these lovely little carts that we'll place around the streets with our witnesses standing by. And you're always more than welcome to come up and say hello, give them a high five. They'll give you a high five, and they'll tell you all about the wonderful works of Jehovah.
Okay. Great. So how many hours do you think you put in like a year?
As an unbaptized publisher, I honestly can't remember.
Okay. Can you give me a range in the tens or in the hundreds?
What I recall is if you're doing pioneering, you will either have full-time or part-time equivalent. So I think it's like 40 or 70 hours a month.
Oh, okay.
And that's between pioneering and auxiliary pioneering, which is like one is lesser, one is the main one.
Gotcha. Okay. So it'd be pretty easy to get anywhere from like 500 to 1,500 hours in a year for someone pioneering, right?
If you're blessed enough with the ability to put that much time into it, then yes.
Okay. Wow.
And a lot of the times, it's a wonderful thing because you can utilize many different ways of reaching people that are appropriate, especially when you're pioneering, that not necessarily your everyday witness will do. This is things like reaching out to different congregations and working with them and helping them with their preaching work. It can be phone calls. It can be all sorts of different avenues that are more accessible for a pioneer of somebody who has such more experience and such a reputation, because they're the sort that will meet pretty much everybody. Everyone knows who they are, and it helps because then it gives us some guidance to know, how can we improve in reaching people.
Okay. All right. I think that's good on like process. Do you mind if we jump into your doctrine a little bit?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Awesome. And thanks for sharing. So first thing I want to ask before I get to the beginning is what kind of Bible do you guys use? Do you guys use like the King James Version or the Gospels like placed by the Gideons? Like what Bible do you guys use? Is there something governed by the governing body?
Yes, it certainly is. I haven't got it in front of me. If I recall correctly, it's the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. Maybe. Just give me a quick sec. I'll grab it. That'll make it easy.
Okay.
Oh, bingo. I was right. Yeah, New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. And they've had a few different revised versions. where now it is the same Bible, but it's called the Silver Sword, because they've made it all silver looking and fucked it even more. I mean, New Light has produced fantastic new discoveries within, and so it's a very exciting time to be a Bible student.
Gotcha. So are you saying there's a new light in it?
Yes. Oh, constantly though. That is never ending. That's what the beauty of the governing body. It's that they have the Holy Spirit directing them to new light, to see clearer.
Gotcha. I'd like to get back to that soon, but I don't want to jump into it quite yet.
Yep.
I'll make a note of it because I'd like to ask you about the new light and how the governing body gets that information from God. But we'll move on for now. So moving forward to the beginning of time.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And what do you make of that?
Absolute.
So is it pretty literal?
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely literal.
Okay. Well then, would you consider yourself a young earth creationist?
No.
No.
Okay.
Because I haven't really gotten there yet. So moving on then. So then God created the like plants, and he like formed the earth and like separated like the waters, I think, and then he made the sun. But that's kind of weird and out of order. Like plants came before sunlight, but plants use photosynthesis. So do you think what's your explanation for plants being here before the sun?
Well, it could be a few different things depending on who I've asked, and it's pretty hard to find a particularly clear answer in our literature. So I can tell you what I would say.
Okay.
Which is that it would have been with one of two things: either with the just plain and simple assistance of Jehovah to keep it there until he put it in, or it is a error of human transcribing into the Bible itself. Like people have written it wrong because humans wrote the Bible, even though it was inspired by God.
How wrong do you think they would have gotten that part?
Could have been anything. Could have even just been from the old language to the new. And it's also, you've got two different books here that have been, not many people know this, but in Genesis, this is your two different accounts of that Genesis creation story. They were two completely different stories that have been put together. Like they weren't written all from, verse 1 down through chapter 2 through chapter 3, and so it's very easy to, reading it from two different perspectives, you can see how they're both describing the same events, and they can still both be accurate to the scientific understanding of photosynthesis.
Can you say that again?
Probably not. Oh shit. I can't, fuck. It was because you've got. You know how long it's been since I've actually like reread Genesis? I think it was the last time we did we had a chat about it.
Really?
I think it was us that had it. Yeah. Because it was this same topic, and we were like going verse by verse trying to work out what crazy shit I thought back in the day compared to what is now.
Yeah.
In reality. You know? I think the best thing, I suppose, really, is I could say is that I would need to look further into their actual literature, because me reading their Bible isn't going to do nothing. That won't help me, because as we know, the Bible can be read in a million different ways. That's how we have all these denominations. So I'd have to find some recent literature that refers to that and get back to you, basically.
Okay, well, that's fine. We'll take a drink, and then we'll hop back on.
Actually, I'm going to take a special drink. Give me a second.
Ooh.
Entertain the crowd.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. That was my entertainment. There. I'm real bad at this. No, actually, thank you, chat, everyone, for coming in here and watching. We have a decent amount of people here. We got we have red, we have red, purple, orange. We have Red Venture. We have purple rhymes with orange. We have Vibrantly Brantley. We have 0-132-132. We got the Godless Iowan. We have Christy Santiago. And with that, I will. That reminds me that I do have an announcement. We should be doing the Leah podcast, I believe, on Friday. So hopefully we see everyone there.
Hell yeah.
I'm not sure what time that'll be. I think it'll be at 11 p.m. But we still need to work out a couple of the kinks. And I still need to.
Hate it so much that I miss out on that. Because I come on Facebook and I miss everything.
Yeah, we need to get you involved with it, or we need to at least get you able to watch it. So. Well, Red's asking what the Leah podcast is. I'm sorry. It's the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism. We have a Facebook page. You can find it through me on Facebook, Gray Skeptic. But yeah, it's called the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism. If you are not in that group yet, go on Facebook and send a request to join, and I'll approve you.
Absolutely.
But we just started a podcast for it about 2 weeks ago, and we're going to be doing it about every 2 weeks until the new year. So, but it's Christy Santiago and I are hosting the show right now.
Yeah, because I remember seeing, I think, the first one, and I was like, oh, I want to get on this.
Yeah. We're not going to take guests until probably halfway through January or February. There's a few topics that I think her and I want to cover and like kind of set up what the format is. And then we'll probably start taking guests to come on. So they have something to look at and see how the show goes before we start having people on and getting off topic before we figure out our format. Because it's really easy to do.
No, it is.
Yes. But yeah, so hopefully I see everyone there on Friday. That's one reason why I'm doing an Atheist Flashback today, because I think I'm going to be moving my Atheist Flashback episodes to Monday and Tuesday, because the only day Christy and I have to work together is on Friday, which is my Atheist Flashback day. So there's that. But yeah, so hopefully we see you all there, and we're going to jump back into Atheist Flashbacks.
Yeah.
Now back to our original programming. Grab yourself a Pepsi.
Back to the scheduled broadcast.
Yes. All right. So, sorry, I had to answer a question. Actually, I got to spell it right. Thank you. Now you entertain, and I'm gonna try to think of words.
Damn, words are hard.
So we'll go on. So I can imagine that as a Jehovah's Witness and taking Genesis pretty literal, that you believe that Eve ate some kind of fruit off of a tree, and this caused original sin, and that's why we die. Stop me from going too fast. And then,
as a punishment.
As a punishment. Oh, I thought that was like a high five thing. You ate the fruit, you get to die.
You get to die.
You get to die. You get to die. She gets to die. You all get to die.
We all get to die. Well, hey, it's true.
There we go. You all get to die. And then Noah comes around, and he's like a half decent person, and then he's like, now everyone gets to die sooner except you and a couple of your friends. And he builds a big old canoe, and he puts a bunch of snakes on it, and that's about right, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a few other pieces to the story, but yeah.
Are there dinosaurs on that giant canoe?
No.
No?
No.
You said no pretty fast, but I've heard that there's dinosaurs on the canoe. You might have to explain this to me.
That's not something that was taught as a witness, no.
Okay.
I know that there are references of old light that suggest that as a possibility, but that is not what is believed.
Okay.
At least what I fucking know.
Are you allowed to cuss?
No.
Coach my witness. Take a drink. Commit some more sin.
Oh well.
So then, do you believe that dinosaurs existed?
Absolutely, yes.
How long ago do you think they existed? I mean, just like roundabout.
Between 65 to 256 million years ago.
Okay. So you're totally not.
Is that actually accurate? I will be amazed if I managed to remember that from when I was a kid.
Yeah. That was pretty darn accurate.
I knew that the Cretaceous part would have been about 250. Holy, oh no, 250. Oh, I was pretty much dead on the money, man. See, that goes to my education. I did well.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. Look, there are conflicting beliefs, but these are things that generally are kept private unless they're explicitly brought out in new light. So if there's any new light that I have not heard of since I was in that, I can't help much about that. But yeah, that wouldn't because the time span thing, that's the bit that's a bit up to you to decide, because it doesn't really make a huge difference in our general doctrine. I have to mute.
Oh yes. My fair witness here is I think there's work being done at his house, so he may have to mute every now and then.
I think it's good.
Okay.
It was just the phone. I was worried the answering machine would go off. Personal decisions. Yeah, because some will dispute the idea that they lived so long ago. But generally speaking, what is proposed by the literature is that the majority of what is scientifically known is accurate. It's just when you step into the realm of evolutionary science, that's when we might start to disagree, or obviously the origins itself.
Okay. Gotcha. And then, so, but you align yourself with the scientific data pretty closely for it?
I do. And I think that is possibly some bias on my part from, not bias, some something that has I have changed in some way. My views of that has changed in some way over the years after specifically leaving the organization and losing my actual belief. I think that it was something I might have picked up then. I can't tell. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
But I've asked this, and this is the sort of thing I get told. But then I don't know even if I can trust the sources that I'm asking. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens when you have conflicting data coming in. So, so all right, we'll move on a little bit. I won't I won't push you too much on the canoe.
I can tell you the canoe happened.
The canoe happened.
It was real. There was a flood. It might have. Again, that's the dispute. Another one where it's like could have been worldwide, could have been regional, and it's just appeared like worldwide in the sense of their world. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, because I've heard of like local floods, like a big local flood instead of a world flood. But it doesn't. But it doesn't make sense that there could be a world flood though, because
all with the power of God, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, but also like the water would just flow off of the edges, and like there's nothing to hold it on because gravity doesn't exist.
Of course, gravity exists.
Well,
I may be Australian, but
but don't push the flat Earth. Anyways, again, moving on. Actually, moving on. We're gonna kind of glide past Exodus a little bit. We spent a lot of time on just that little bit of the Old Testament. Do you have a favorite book of the Bible? Totes my witness.
I love that name. I might change my mind if I remember another one, but the one that's coming at me at the moment is Revelation, and because of its artistry, or at least the Watchtower's versions of its artistry. And most people will know these as some of the most horrific art you'll ever see. It is like, you know, the old hundreds of years ago, the art that's all gruesome and it's all church art, and it's just deplorable. It's like that, but new age, like done in the 20th century. And then there's a lot of it that's in that uncanny valley where the characters they're all real people, but then they're being drawn, and the drawings don't really portray the person quite perfectly to make them look properly human. So all of their drawings with people in them are just freaky. And so, but the Revelation story, I see you, guy. Night, buddy. The Revelation one it's the most creative in that sense. The art was beautiful in a gruesome kind of way. I was a weird kid. But the stories themselves are as well. Very artistic, very imaginative. I know I'm reading it, understanding it as the story it is and why it is the finale and climax, the revelation to end all that is bad and evil. But at the same time, that makes for one hell of a storybook. That's a roller coaster. It's great.
Yeah. It's definitely got a lot of aspects to it. Tell you what.
And it's misunderstood.
It is. I mean, I've heard a lot of Christians tell me that Revelations is like the hardest book to understand.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's probably close to being an objective fact just by the way it's written and how much it's dragging all of the little storyline arches in the Bible throughout all of those that history, it's now bringing it all to an end and a resolution, or at least giving the resolution, you know. So of course it's going to be pretty tricky to keep up with. You know, there's a lot to grapple with and reference when you're trying to understand it.
Yeah, there definitely is. Well, then what is there a part that really, really sticks out to you? Is there, I don't know, is there a part that excites you in Revelations? Is it the, I don't know. I'll just leave it there before I go any deeper.
Things that stand out would go back to the art. I remember there's this great picture of like the four-headed beast or whatever, the five-headed beast. I can't remember now. It's very vague. I'd have to grab it and look at it again, but it's just always stuck in my head as a really amazing image of something that looked absolutely horrific. Like you'd never want to like see one in real life and be like, what the fuck is that thing, you know?
You're talking about the one with like the face of a lion and an ox or something like that, or like the seven-headed dragon?
That's the one.
Okay.
Seven-headed, might have been seven-headed, yeah. And the artwork just stands out. There's the colors, and it and then even as a kid, it makes you want to read it, to understand it, and to go, what, like, this picture is awesome. Why, like, what's going on? What is this thing doing? And you know, and then you end up reading it and really wanting to know about it. I can't remember much of that now. It's been a while. But as for the bits that maybe excite me, would be what's the scripture? The one that you know, and death will be no more. It's been a while. Damn. I might have to do the Googling. Give me a second.
Is this the part where they talk about there will like be no more tears?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that part.
21:4.
Say what now?
He'll wipe every tear. Revelation 21:4. He'll wipe every tear from their eyes. There'll be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. And this is something that was always heavily ingrained into me, because, well, the old order is basically what, you know, the old system of things. And that's specifically the system of things that we're living in, the way we understand reality now.
Yes.
Which is the old order. And so the prospect of having this new system where there was no imperfection, and just to be just like everybody else, that made me excited.
Gotcha. Okay. Now when I got to this verse, I remember specifically it was taught to me like it's the same as you, basically, where you're saying that the old system will go away, right? It's like this world and how we run it won't be anymore, right? And then we'll be in heaven with God and everything will be perfect. And from what I heard, the tears and death and whatever, that will be like erased and done with. That went even deeper in my specific sect of religion, Christianity, was because not everyone makes it through the judgment day and gets to stay with God, right?
Yeah. No.
Right. So for my specific sect, it was not only do some people go into the abyss when they're judged that way, they also are erased from everyone's like memory. So there aren't any tears of like those who like you loved who got like thrown into hell, you won't even remember them. You don't have to worry about that. Satan and everyone else in this old world will actually be erased from your memory. So,
wow.
what do you think of that?
I would feel then it sort of nullifies the point of enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the enjoying it, or
it may as well be no better than just any other reincarnation story.
right.
You know?
Yeah. So
I like the
that.
idea that that I don't know, the idea that there would be an idealistic perfection, that's still kind of cool. Even though it's not really, not perfect, like everyone gets along, but to a state where we can work away the worst of our own ailments and stuff, like find a way to getting around the need to labor ourselves continuously to death, basically, for the most part, for a lot of people. Little things like that is for me still a very appealing thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
can
not quite
understand
like
that.
they say in the book.
Right. Well, there's such an importance to that whole concept, and to the concept of some people won't get there, especially if you're a Jehovah's Witness, because if you don't let people know, then technically their blood is on your hands, right?
Yeah.
Right. So can you
Absolutely.
can you talk about the importance of that just a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's a hard thing to talk about from my perspective here. We feel like we know the truth, and it sounds very stuck up, of course, but we're constantly trying to discover, where we might be wrong, and that's why we constantly have new light. So we're pretty sure that we have the truth, and we need to, well, no, we are damn sure we have the truth, and we have to, live by it. And I was leading into it, now I've forgotten what the question was in the first place.
I was asking how important it is for you to really share the word so people can make it into paradise.
Oh, for the blood guilt thing, that's right. Mm. And so because we feel we know that it's the truth, and that we know the stakes are so high, it's like if you're a doctor that's suddenly figured out a way to figured out like a youth thing that keeps people alive forever or something, you'd be an awful person not to share that with the world, even if you don't even use it on yourself, and you just let it be forgotten and disappear. Like that's not really good for humanity. And I mean, ultimately we want to save as many people as we can. We want to see as many of our brothers and sisters of humankind to see favor in God's eyes and find a place in the new system.
Yeah, because you want to share like the good that you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people seem, they don't necessarily like us knocking on their doors sometimes, but at the same time, it's just a very good way of meeting people and not hurting anyone. We aren't forcing anyone into anything. We're just wanting to share the word, and if somebody's willing to listen, they're willing to listen.
Do you ever get some like blowback from going in and knocking on people's doors?
Oh, all the time. Almost every time, really.
Really?
Some houses you'll have marked down, you'll know to avoid. But sometimes you'll be in a new territory and you just don't know. And yeah, you meet all sorts of wonderful and not so wonderful people.
I can imagine. The trying to figure out where to go from here. Actually, I kind of wanted to go into a few more political questions for you real quick, if you don't mind.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. So just kind of tell me where you stand on these hot topics, okay? And we can spend as little or as much time as you feel you need to on these. So the first one, the easiest one, don't worry, abortion.
See, I knew you were going to say that one first, but when you said the easiest one, I was thinking to myself, no, this is not actually the easiest one. It's like if you ask them, it's going to be a hard no. But then if you get them in private, they're prevalent. You know, they just weren't necessary. It's a family secret sort of stuff.
Interesting.
It's like alcoholics. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. How do you feel? And I know you're down under, but Trump. How do you guys feel about Trump?
Completely nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan? Like the whole.
We are not political.
Okay.
We do not vote at all.
Okay.
We
so
have
then
no standing interest in the world of man and their leadership. In places such as mine, where it's mandatory to vote, I will write down my reason as to voting for Jesus. And it's on religious grounds, and so I am afforded a pass.
Gotcha. Now, I had heard that before, and I forgot about it. I forgot that Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote. So then do you kind of just like not give a shit what goes on in a politics at all?
It's not in our hands. This is the world of Satan, and they will just do what they please. It's nothing man can do will fix the problems we face. The only way, the only solution to fix these problems is through Jesus and Jehovah. That's just the only way. So there's no point to vote. You know, it's not going to be 2-3 more voting, rounds in your America, or 4 years actually. I don't know what. A couple more elections before the end will be here anyway, probably.
Okay. All right. Next one is premarital sex. How important is this topic to Jehovah's Witnesses?
Marriage is exceptionally important. Marriage is God's arrangement after all. Okay. No, you must not even just nothing like that.
So like no dry humping or
chaperoning. Anything? No tight clothes, no revealing clothes, no interactions with the opposite sex, whether they're of age or not. So like, yeah, the rules are very specifically weird. Guys must not wear anything that might suggest that they look like they're gay, as homosexuality is atrocious. It's a sin. They also must make sure that their clothes do not rub against them in any way that might cause them to think things that they should not, that are unclean. It's definitely not a thing. That just doesn't happen with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, and there's one you touched on in there.
Phrasing.
Phrasing. You touched all over it. The homosexuality. How is it okay? How is it not okay? Is there any instances where it's okay to be gay, but like,
look,
no touchy bits, or what's the deal?
If we will accept people. Oh shit!
What have you done?
Oh, my microphone came out of its stand. So good, fixed it.
Okay.
We will allow, if that is somebody's persuasion, they just cannot act on it in any way, because we understand how Satan influences people, and we know that it's the sin that is evil and it's not the sinner. So, I mean, they would definitely have to show, though, they couldn't have a same-sex partner, for example, and they would definitely be watched closely to ensure they don't act on anything improper if they wanted to continue to be within the congregation. Okay, puppy, I'll let you
out. And then Christy just brought up a really good topic. How about sex with pillows?
Nope.
No sex with pillows?
No.
Jesus Christ. I don't know what kind of world you live in. I don't understand.
One that you'd never, ever have an orgasm. I'm just going to grab me a drink.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Christy. That was fantastic. No sex with pillows.
I've actually got to tell you something, though. On that last thing I said, it's weird that I actually still managed to have far more sex as a theist than an atheist.
Really?
Well, yeah, but I've only been one for less than a year, so timing is a bit skewed. That poll is a bit off. So I got that phrasing. Fuck.
You have to finish that new drink.
Yeah, I reckon. No, but yeah, no. I think it's something to do with the fact that I'm only rather new on the scene, so to speak.
Relatively.
That's it.
I'm not sure if this is a question towards you, but I think it's you can't watch pillows have sex.
Any kind of no.
Gotcha. Can you watch like animals at the zoo have sex? Not explicitly, but
if you're doing it explicitly, that's pretty weird, and you're going to get talked to. But no, I mean, if you're just going to the zoo, or if you're out in nature, no, of course not. In my defense, too, when I back in the day, if we're not talking specifically to householders, we were still growing up in the country, so we did actually still swear. We just, didn't do it in front of the congregation. It was like, private home thing. There's a lot that do swear.
Okay. Do you swear a lot?
Me, yes. I would always get in trouble for swearing, but it's like that's what everybody does out there. It's part of the language. It's really hard not to, especially when you're householding, you're a kid, and the person you're trying to witness to is just naturally swearing at you. What are you bloody trying to say to me, mate? It's like, how am I meant to not pick up all these phrases when everybody says them?
Right. It's just words anyways. But
more or less swearing as an atheist, neither. It's about the same.
No difference. So, another one here is contraceptives. Even if it's like marital
in
sex.
the confinement yes, within the confinement of a married couple,
Mhm.
their decision to use contraceptives is completely personal.
Okay. So that's
But
fine.
still no masturbating.
Still, oh, so like you guys can't have like sex with pillows together?
What? I mean, that's probably going too far to tell.
Have you ever been asked that question?
I've never been asked that specific question. I tell you what, whenever I get to come and visit, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to it, but I'm excited.
Be excited, damn it.
I just had
Yes.
John Cedars follow me on Twitter like last week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
I was excited about that.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
So if I ever have him on here, I'm gonna just save that question for him as well. Can you have sex with pillows with your wife?
Oh, that's awesome. He would be fantastic to have on, actually. If like that would be awesome.
That would be really
I
cool.
did at one point ask him about a thing like that, and I don't think he quite was. He was really busy. I think that was just as he was doing his stuff for Leah Remini's TV show, and so all of that was meant to be secret as well. So I think I just picked a bad time to try and get a hold of him.
Yeah. He's a busy guy, but
he does so much good work. Like,
he does.
Brilliant.
Speaking of Jehovah's Witnesses, he's definitely one to check out. An ex-Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So, last thing I want to touch on, and we don't have to go too deep into it, but can you explain to everyone real quick what New Light is, and I'll ask the second part of the question afterwards.
It's a good idea. Basically, you'll have, you know how you've got God, Jehovah, and the Holy Spirit. What that is the his way of directing us as mankind, and he's he's chosen the witnesses as his organization, of course. And that was like 1914, I think, all about that prophecy and all that. I think that's when it was either 1914 or 1919 when it officially was decided that Jehovah chose them. And they were then, at the time, they were called the Bible students, but they've obviously just done a minor change of name to make it, it's more recognizable and stuff from just a standard Bible student, That's what I'd assume as my JW self. And the governing body then will take the direction that they've been given from the Holy Spirit and put it to print, basically, and send it out for us to, tell the nations.
Okay. So then, because there's new light, I can only imagine there's old light, and sometimes it contradicts. So how do you justify the new light? Like, does God change his mind, or
no? This is all human error. It's human error. It's where we've not had it right before. Sometimes there are people who have. There are these things called apostates. They will infiltrate the governing body and the Watchtower organization, and they will put these seeds of evil doctrine out there that will it's there to confuse, and it's there to mislead, and it's there to make it look like the governing body are in error when really they were there just to lead the flock astray. And the Bible does warn about such folk who will try, and they will, like the wolf in sheep's clothing, they'll try and be the perfect role model leader person, and then do this evil things I mean, that has happened so much. So really what happens is that when we discover that there have been these errors, we will immediately rectify it. We will change our ways, because we have to keep, learning and keep. It's not, I was going to say upgrading, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Advancing, like keeping advancing our studies. I think that's what I'm looking for.
Right, just like it's just like
progressing.
Some kind of like Android update.
Sort of, yeah, in a way. Like you want, like when you come across something, you've found an error or a glitch in the program, maybe, you want to, when you realize that, you want to go back and go, oh no, we stuffed up. We want to make sure that we're getting it right, So but it's the new light is definitely, and it's other things too, where we can now, new ways of applying the message, because over time, obviously there are so many changes over time. We will realize that, oh, there is more to this message now,
You still there?
I am, but I might have to just check something.
Okay. Yeah, Christy Santiago said, Jehovah's Witnesses consider New Light to be whenever they change the rules or the doctrine / the governing body.
Come on, right?
So that's pretty much what it is. Whenever they see an issue with the doctrine, they get New Light. See the light again. So that's kind of what keeps them relevant, from what I understand. Is that about right? Totes my witness.
Yeah, pretty much. Because it's a way of keeping them relevant, but it's a way of keeping continually reaching people. Like, as well. That's another important one. Because you don't want, if you realize that, oh look, I can now speak to all of these new sort of folk that we thought we couldn't. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a blessing. Like that lovely young chap that went to the island, as much as it was tragically turned sour, but I mean, he's in God's hands.
Right. And that's a whole conversation we could have. Whole nother hour.
Yeah.
Well, tune in next time for that bullshit. Actually, have you kept up on that? Like, did you look into that a lot?
Too closely. I mean, I checked out. I knew what the story and stuff was about, but I didn't. I haven't seen anything more about it after that week, or whatever it was.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I think they just left his body on the beach, and no one can get it because it's
go back and get it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
do that?
They can't even send helicopters over because they throw the fucking spears and the bow and arrows at the bloody helicopters. So.
Yeah, that's what they did in 2006 for those two fishermen.
Yeah.
Who just accidentally went too far over there because they were drunk on wine, got murdered, and I think they got arrows stuck in them, hatchets used on them. They got pretty mangled up.
Not the way to go.
No, if I had to choose, it wouldn't be that way. It would not be that way.
Well, the way I see it is, there's one God, and He is ever forgiving and ever merciful, ever loving. And even though that young man might have had the wrong idea of what God to go for and who he's preaching for, but I don't think that's too relevant. I think he'll still have the opportunity to be resurrected in paradise for a, for a new round.
Yeah. So, well, peace be with him. But yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not going to talk about it too much right now. All right. So does anyone have any questions for NotJah Witness real quick before we wrap up? It has been about an hour now. Again, thank you, NotJah Witness, Toad's My Witness, for coming on tonight and doing this. It was very fun.
Zero's got a question for me. Did I stop being one and then convert to another brand, or did I stop believing their teachings just recently? I sort of stopped being one when it comes to an official witness. I left that very early on in my life, but I remained a theist and I remained believing their version of religion and stuff, or their doctrine, their teachings. But I didn't. I saw the errors in organized religion. I saw, even as a kid, what was wrong with the one I was in, and I rejected organized religion. But I didn't reject the faith, the belief, until the start of this year.
Gotcha. And that was well, yeah, because you kind of hit like atheist within the last 2 years, right? Or did you just say this last year?
Within the last year, pretty much.
This last year?
Because, yeah, it's just January, February sort of time I started hitting the proper channels, atheist channels that I know and love now.
And that was around the time that you started your channel, right?
That would have been just before I started, because that was what springboarded me into starting my own channel, because that's what deconverted me, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember, so.
That's right.
Terry Davies asked, "How is your computer? How is your computer going?"
Well, it's running. I've had to take the cover off it to keep it cool. And at the moment it's humming pretty loud, which is frustrating because it's struggling to keep itself cool in this hot temperature. And I've had to turn all my fans off so that I can stream without the noise of all of them. So I'm sitting here naked sweating. But my computer's doing okay. Yeah. Zero had one. Was it, Zero? No, Hannah, sorry, I'd already read Zero's. Hannah's, was I born in? Yes, pretty much. And now in the witness protection program, exactly.
That was pretty good. And then Christy wants to know, what's the craziest thing?
That's not... Shit. The craziest thing, I think the angels fucking sexy girls having giant babies.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. I know there's a lot of others that you could be like, oh, science says this, the flood didn't happen, but it's like, yeah, cool. But that's not the craziest story, like that
just a little bit before that. Yeah, the Nephilim.
Yeah, it's just a fun one.
Yeah.
It's overcast here or there, here, there. Queensland weather. I don't know what it is outside. Hey, bro, because I don't have windows. I do have windows. They're all blocked out. I can't see. So I'd have to open the door. No, I am KC. Oh shit! I might have to mute for Momo.
It's what? You still there? Okay, he had mute. Let's see, there's no more questions. Cool. Yeah, well, again, this was super fun. I'm very glad that NotJah was able to come on and do this tonight. Again, just want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to NotJah Witness's channel, go subscribe to his channel. And if you haven't subscribed to mine, please subscribe to my channel as well.
Yeah.
I'm actually 12 away from 300. So if you guys can help me get
Woo!
there, that'd be super duper
We're
cool.
going to get you 300 tonight. Well, I mean,
That
my
would be
tonight at least gives me a couple hours.
yeah. You still have time. Actually, I mean, it's past 12 a.m. now, so also buy that tonight.
You know, yeah.
But
we'll get
but yeah,
there. It'll happen.
and cool. Thank you, Hannah. And yeah, so that's that for me. Do you have anything else to leave off on? Are you good?
No, and I was hoping to lead out on this really cool line, but I can't say it anymore at the moment. So yeah, that sucks. It sort of worked out though, because we managed to have a good amount of talk before I sort of would have had to be more careful.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And
But I want to thank everybody in the chat who came.
thank you, everyone.
I always love yous. And definitely make sure to sub to Mac, because I mean, what are you even doing? Like, the first one to throw me online. So you know, you got to show your love.
But yes, thank you very much. And again, thank you for coming on. This is really fun. I hope to have you again on not 10 months from now.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I don't know who's going to be on next week yet. We'll see. I have a couple ideas, so I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. But at the time, I just let you guys know like half an hour before I go on. So I'll do my best
that's what I do.
to let you guys know sooner rather than later. I hope everyone has a good week. I hope to see everyone here on Friday for the League of Extraordinary Atheists podcast, where Christine and I are going to go through a fun topic of not fun topic sorts. So that's what we do. Anyways, again, thank you. Everyone have a wonderful night, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.